Hey everyone, FNaF trailers. You love them, I love them. It seems like almost yesterday we were getting hyped for this new salvage animatronic. Or wait, did we just hear Foxy yell freedom in his jump scare? What could it mean? Well, I already talked about that stuff in previous videos, but today I want to go through each of the main trailers in the franchise, from FNAF 1 to Secret of the Mimic, and point out any details we may have missed in the past, as well as comparing what is shown in the trailers versus what we got in the actual release. Looking at you, Security Breach. So sit back and relax as we go back in time to the year of 2014. The very first Five Nights at Freddy's trailer was released on June 14th, 2014. The trailer itself is mostly cinematic, featuring little to no gameplay. The first shot of the trailer, however, does make an appearance as the picture in the Help Wanted ad when you start the game. The actual gameplay we do have is a zoomed in shot of Cam 1B, the dining area, and a zoomed in shot of Cam 1A, the show stage, which promptly jump cuts to a shot of the animatronics looking at you. Fun fact about this shot, this is never actually used in the game. While it is present in the game files, the only time the animatronics look at you on the show stage is when Freddy is by himself. After that, we get the famous shots of Bonnie running down the hallway and taking off his face, revealing his endoskeleton. It's often theorized that Bonnie was initially the one to run down the left hallway instead of Foxy. It's also entirely possible that Foxy didn't even exist yet at this point in development. Also, something to point out is that some people associate Withered Bonnie's faceless appearance in FNAF 2 to be a reference to this very trailer. You can even see that his bottom jaw is still present, just like in FNAF 2. Other than that, there's not much to talk about in this trailer, so let's jump ahead 4 months and take a look at easily the best trailer in the franchise. Released on October 21st, 2014, this trailer features music by Italian composer Paolo Quartuccio, specifically a piece titled Ride On from the album W Breaks. First detail I want to point out is that the first shot of this trailer somewhat continues the last shot of the FNAF 1 trailer. We ended that trailer with Bonnie taking off his face, and we open up this trailer with a faceless Bonnie. I don't know if that was intentional, but I thought that was cool. Now, part of what made this trailer so iconic was it opening with a bunch of kids singing London Bridge is Falling Down.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
There were plenty of theories at the time about what this signified, and I think the most likely answer is the simplest. Sorry, Might Kill All fans. The song London Bridge is Falling Down is about the dilapidation of London Bridge, and people's attempts to repair it. This obviously mirrors the dilapidation of the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and people's attempts to repair and rejuvenate it back to new. After that, we get a phone guy call that's not actually present in the game.
Hello? Well, if you're hearing this, then chances are you've made a very poor career choice.
Followed by some close-up cinematics of the new animatronic models. We then get some actual gameplay with UI, which is a noticeable change from the previous trailer. Something else I want to mention is the choice of colors used for the text in these trailers. In the FNAF 1 trailer, we have this blue, glitchy text, symbolizing the glitchy, robotic nature of the things that are trying to kill you. It's subtle and reserved, which goes nicely with the FNAF 1 gameplay. With the exception of Foxy, these animatronics are motionless on the cams, they just stare blankly. The only times they do move is during rare glitch-out screens like this. Now compare this to the FNAF 2 trailer. When we're looking at all the withered versions of the animatronics from the first game, we get the same font and color as the previous trailer. But when we get our first look at the toy animatronics and see the gameplay for the first time, the text starts glitching out frantically and turns red. The pace at which the text glitches, as well as the change into a warmer, more intense color, match the more fast-paced and hectic gameplay of FNAF 2. Or, it could just be more simple, when robots go red they turn evil type of thing. Anyway, onwards. Now we're back to another mostly cinematic trailer. This one was released on January 26, 2015. The music used for this trailer comes from neosounds.org and is titled A Storm Brews, made by a guy named Emmett Cook. The trailer starts similarly to the FNAF 2 trailer with a dolly shot of a poster-covered wall. We then get our first text of the trailer. Out of all of the trailer texts in the franchise, this one probably has the deepest meaning. All of the text in this trailer starts with a yellow color, before transitioning into red with a ripple effect underneath. This references Afton's spring locking, with him putting on the yellow suit and dying in a pool of blood. Shout out to the Dejected Axe on Reddit for pointing this out. I never would have thought to look at the text colors in any of the trailers without this post. After that, we get another hallway shot and some more text, before we get this weird shot of the original FNAF 1 animatronics. This is most likely referencing the In Between Night minigames, where we play as the original 4 animatronics. Bonnie's eye is likely moving to look at Shadow Freddy. Next thing we see is a shot of Springtrap twitching in this dark room. Most people agree that this is him immediately after getting spring-locked. And finally, we get our only look at actual gameplay in this trailer. Springtrap's left side jump scare. No UI though. And that's pretty much it for the FNaF 3 trailer. But before we move on to FNaF 4, I want to propose a question. Who is the one speaking in this trailer? In past trailers, the text is either talking about the game itself or directly addressing the player. Clearly just text for the sake of describing the game Scott is trying to advertise. However, the text in the FNaF 3 trailer is different. It's more like someone in-universe is speaking. Especially this line, "We have a place for him."
We? Who's we?
The only thing I can come up with is that this is the ghosts of the missing kids incident. Let's look at the first two lines. He will come back, and he always does. This can have a few meanings from their perspective. After Afton kills one of the kids, he'll always come back to take another. You can say the same thing about him coming back to dismantle each of the animatronics in the minigames as well. This could also be them saying that they know he'll come back to life after dying in the suit, since that's exactly what happened to them. This makes more sense when you take into account the final line of the trailer, "We have a place for him." Despite the fact that they know that he'll inevitably come back to life, they rest easy knowing that he's suffering in this place they have for him. That place being the boarded up back room in the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Keep in mind that this last line was shown right before the alleged spring locking scene, but that's just my read on it. Now we can move on to... This trailer was released on July 13th, 2015. Out of the first 4 games' trailers, this one features the most actual gameplay. In fact, you'd think it was 100% gameplay, but for the first 29 seconds of the trailer, we're just looking at a JPEG fading in and out. You can tell when the real gameplay starts when you see the Night Hour UI in the top right corner pop up. To further differentiate them, you could see that whenever the flashlight turns on before this, there's a fading effect, but when we see Nightmare Bonnie in the hallway, it just cuts to it with no fade in. Now that we've reached the end of what is considered old school FNaF, before the series got really sci-fi, there's an interesting detail about these trailers that I want to point out. There is a heavy focus on Bonnie on every single one of these trailers. Out of all the animatronics, he gets the most spotlight. The first trailer features him heavily with him running down the hall, as well as being the last one you see. The first trailer opens up with him, and Toy Bonnie is the first toy animatronic to be revealed. Withered Bonnie is also the one chosen to show off the Freddy mask mechanic. FNaF 3 you could cheat a little by counting Springtrap as a variation of Bonnie, but even without that, during the shot of the original 3 band members, Bonnie gets the most focus, with his eye turning to look at the camera. Now we get to FNaF 4, and Nightmare Bonnie is the first one seen, and the one to jump scare you at the end. The significance of all this Bonnie use is probably attributed to Scott Cawthon finding him the scariest out of all the animatronics.
And it was all Bonnie, which thrills me because Bonnie is kind of the only one that I think is a scary design for me. Like I've never had a nightmare about any of my own characters except for Bonnie.
Anyway, back to the trailer. After that intro in the hallway, it's pretty much standard gameplay from there. There's a little editing trick at the end. We see the animation to look behind you, but we secretly jump cut to the left door in order to get jump scared by Bonnie. Alright, now let's take a look at the text for this trailer. Bear with me, I'm going to get a little crazy with it. So there are 2 colors used for the text in this trailer, red and yellow. My first thought was, oh, those colors represent the 2 main characters we see in this game, Crying Child and Michael. Crying Child represented by the yellow plush Fredbear, and Michael Afton represented by the red Foxy mask he wears. However, I have another theory. So this game is a prequel, right? We're going backwards in time with this one. So putting this trailer in reverse, we see this golden yellow text slowly turn red. Remember the Springtrap text from the last game? That one had a red puddle to symbolize the blood puddle from Afton's death. In this game, when we turn the yellow to red, we see these lines come in and the text shrinks. Almost like the text is being chomped, or perhaps bitten? Yeah, see what I mean? Regardless, after the final jump scare, we see this 4 rotating into the title card. The 4 with the big red rectangle I'm pretty sure is supposed to invoke the imagery of a house where the game takes place. During this, we also hear church bells. These bell sounds are noticeably different from the ones we hear both earlier in the trailer and the ones coming from the grandfather clock in-game. The sounds of tolling bells is not just a Metallica reference, it's a common thing used in fiction to symbolize or announce death. This makes sense for this game since the whole game is about the death of the crying child. And that's pretty much it for FNaF 4. While I said earlier that this game was the end of old school FNaF, we still have one more trailer in this style, so let's move on to... Like I just said, this is the last trailer in Scott's personal editing style. The sister location trailer was released on May 21st, 2016. This is actually the first FNaF trailer to feature original music made for the game. This one was made by now seasoned FNaF composer Leon Riskin. The trailer opens with quick little snippets of the first 4 games, with UI by the way. We then get a few in-game glimpses of the various locations you play in, during which you hear the words "Don't hold it against us" repeated over and over again. The words themselves do not appear anywhere in the actual game, but most likely reference the sister location animatronics' desires and actions towards wanting to leave the bunker. Don't hold their actions against them because, as we'll hear later in the trailer, you don't know what they've been through. What they've been through being the torture and experimentation at the hands of Afton. Anyway, after the gameplay, the rest of the trailer are just purely cinematics made specifically for the trailer. You can tell that this is a new era of FNaF because Bonnie has been heavily limited in this trailer, his only appearance being Bon Bon on Funtime Freddy's hand. By the way, this shot of all the fun times is kind of funny since they never share a stage together. And after the title reveal, we get this odd little jump scare with Baby. This obviously never appears in the actual game, and I'm surprised they didn't use the new jump scare sound effect for this trailer, especially since I think it's one of the best jump scare sounds in the whole franchise. And that marks the end of the classic Scott Cawthon-style trailers. The next 2 games in the series were pretty much shadow drops with no trailers to hype them up. That would change with the start of the Steel Wool era, and their first game... The first teaser trailer we got for FNaF Help Wanted was in a PlayStation State of Play livestream on March 25th, 2019. The teaser itself is mostly cinematic. We start by looking at a bunch of TVs, which feature a bunch of the modes that will be available in the game. Before we get the title reveal, we see that it was Freddy looking at the cams the whole time, not us. Now this could be a reference to the ending of the game, where we, the player, end up getting trapped in the game by Glitch Trap, or more specifically, we become Freddy, forced to sing on that stage. After the title reveal, we get a little compilation of jump scares, and that's when they transition to show off some of the actual gameplay footage and describe that all in detail. And with that, it's time to finally move on to the most egregious example of trailer release dissonance. You know what time it is. Now, everyone's already talked to death about the Treble Development security breach chat, so I won't go into too much detail of that. This game had 3 major trailers for its release. A teaser released on September 16th, 2020, a gameplay trailer released on February 25th, 2021, and a final State of Play and release date announcement trailer released on October 27th, 2021. Let's start with the teaser trailer, our first actual look at what this game was going to look like. Right off the bat, we hear a voice that does not appear in the game.
Gregory, your friends are worried about you. They're here with me.
From what I understand, this was the original voice actress for Vanny/Vanessa before she was recast for whatever reason. The trailer voice was done by Stacy Young, while the in-game Vanny voice was done by Marta Svetek. The breathing you hear in the trailer actually does appear in-game though. It's Gregory's breathing you hear whenever you're using a hiding spot. Moving on, the trailer just highlights a few of the locations you'll be playing through in the game. Moon makes a little cameo in the kitchen, however, I don't think he actually shows up in that particular location in-game. I could be wrong though. We also hear Glamrock Freddy's voice.
Gregory, be still. I think she's found us.
This line also, of course, does not appear in-game. The teaser ends with a Vanny jump scare, which, to its credit, does appear in-game. Editing note here, I was wrong. They actually did change the Vanny jump scare in the official release. My bad. Overall, this teaser, not that bad. If this was the only thing shown before the game was released and it wasn't a buggy mess, I think people would have gone significantly easier on this game. But alas, we got the next 2 trailers. So the next one we got was a gameplay trailer, and as for gameplay, yeah, it's accurate to what we get in the actual release. All except for the watch UI. Here in the trailer, the screen is a lot smaller, closer to something like Fallout's Pip-Boy UI. There's also no missions tab, in its place being an inventory tab. The inventory would be moved to the pause menu in the official release. The logs tab here would also be renamed to the messages tab. There's also some extra information at the bottom of the watch that never made it to the official release. Things like flashlight battery power, Freddy power, what I assume is security badge level, and a collectible counter of some kind. Oh, and at the top, you could always see what time it is, something that you can't do in the actual game. Overall, I think I can understand most of the choices they made when changing this UI. Most of all, the size of the camera screen. It would be really annoying to have to squint every time you wanted to look at cams. Alright, so with gameplay out of the way, let's look at what the rest of the trailer has to offer. The trailer opens with the Vanny mask found in Help Wanted's Curse of Dreadbear DLC, along with voice lines from what we assumed at the time to be Afton or some variation of Afton like Glitch Trap.
When I first found you, you were nothing. You were small. Pathetic.
Mind you, none of which we get in the actual game. The text color and style in this trailer also calls back to the original FNaF 1 trailer with the glitchy light blue text on black. Pretty much all of the cutscenes we see before the real gameplay starts do not appear in the final version of the game. Speaking of not appearing in the game, more Burn Trap voice lines?
Will do as I say. You will bring me what I want. And if you fail me, then you will. Both of you burn!
What a lovely singing voice you must have.
I'm not going to go too much deeper in this trailer because we still have one more Security Breach trailer to go. The final trailer for Security Breach was released in a PlayStation State of Play on October 27th, 2021. This trailer is actually very accurate to what we got on release. Even the background voice lines heard in the trailer are present in-game. The only thing inaccurate are the Vanny cutscenes shown at the beginning and ending of this trailer. Poor Vanny, just can't catch a break.
Sure pick cool people to be friends with, Freddy.
Where'd you find this guy? Come on, let's go. Good guy.
And that's Security Breach. A bumpy ride, but we made it through. It would be another 2 years before we got our next FNaF game, that being... Our first look at Help Wanted 2 was shown at a PlayStation Showcase livestream on May 24th, 2023. There's not really much to talk about. The voiceover in this trailer is just a meta joke about this being a sequel to the last one and obviously not present in the actual game. The location itself, however, is present in the game, being found briefly during the Princess Quest ending. The first real trailer we got was released on November 20th, 2023. The opening of this trailer are images taken from various FNaF 6 cutscenes. The images themselves are shown on a slideshow when you first start the game. After that, we get a reel of various minigames you can play, during which we have Andy Field's hand unit voice narration. The dialogue itself does not appear in-game. Not much to say besides that. One more game. The last game we have to talk about is the latest one, Secret of the Mimic. Yeah, no, this one's pretty much 100% accurate. Even the voiceover narration is present in-game. It's the dialogue you hear during the start of the game.
So let me explain the situation. One of our contractors, Edwin Murray, has gone missing, leaving our property abandoned in his warehouse.
The only bits of non-real gameplay are these zoom-ins of mimic suits, but that's it. You know, looking back, there really was something special about those early trailers. So much mystery and intrigue. So many little details that people would pick up on. I'd be lying if I said I didn't prefer the more simple, shorter trailers we got back then, when you can get storytelling through text color alone. But I suppose bigger and more expensive games require bigger and more expensive trailers. That's the nature of a franchise getting bigger and bigger. But I'm rambling. The only thing I have left to say is, thank you for watching. Remember to like it if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, and I'll see you next time.